Cricket was this initial first thing, I guess, to have something to do, to bed into the society and make friends and socialize. So that was the initial, but I didn't really even know myself what professional cricket was.
Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
No, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to dive into your sports journey over the years, but I want to say welcome to Dubai. You're still a newbie. You're under 12 months, is that right?
Yeah, thanks. No, it's been December. It's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of air miles, but it's been brilliant.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the heat. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to be too hot." I've loved it. It's been great, and people have been so welcoming.
Yeah, and you brought your family over as well. So you've got, is it what, 2 kids?
Yeah, my wife, my 2 kids are here, and my parents are here as well. My sister was already here working, so yeah, the family's here. We're just enjoying, getting down to the beach and just taking it all in and enjoying the weather.
For those that perhaps don't know you and don't know your backstory, would you like to give us a little introduction as to who you are and what you've maybe done over the past sort of, should we say, how far back should we go? 20 years?
As long as you want to go. Azeem Rafiq, I'm an ex-professional cricketer for Yorkshire and England in the 19s. I've got a bit of a bumpy story, a bit of a bumpy ride. We, as a family, moved over from Pakistan in 2001 and then ended up in Barnsley. Everyone asked me the question, so I don't know why, but that's where we ended up.
Is it just one of those, let me just pick on the map?
I think Dad's got to answer that one, so I'm not sure. Cricket was a love, and joined a local cricket club. Progressed my way through, played for Yorkshire at a young age. I represented England 19 and captained them at the World Cup. All going well, captained Yorkshire, one of the youngest ever. And that was my cricketing career. And then, lately, last few years, I spoke out on racism that I suffered and the institutional racism at Yorkshire County Cricket Club. Their handling ended up becoming quite a big story in the UK, which has had a significant impact on my life. And, that's ended up me making the move out to Dubai, which, in a way, everything happens for a reason. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and enjoying every minute of it. So that's a very short snippet.
I love that. So we're going to dive into some of those parts. So had you ever played cricket before you moved to the UK?
Growing up in Pakistan, it's the thing to do. I grew up playing on the streets. As soon as I got back from school, my mum would be running around trying to catch me and I'd just be playing cricket all night. So cricket was, from a very young age, it was a love. But, I only started playing, I guess, away from street cricket when I first moved to the UK.
In the UK, every little boy's dream is to be a famous footballer. Yeah. And in Pakistan, is it that everyone wants to be little boys dream to be that famous cricketer?
Absolutely. It's like a religion, especially when I was growing up in Pakistan, it was the only thing to do. Things have changed a bit more. There's with, internet and television, there is more football and other sports, but still, it is that one thing that everyone dreams of, like in the UK it is with football.
And did your parents see the potential or how did you get into then sort of being able to join a club and compete, I guess, competitively?
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. Dad's not a massive cricket fan as such. He wasn't into his working life. Mum watched a bit, so I guess that's where it came from a little bit. But when I moved to the UK, it was just one of the first things we looked for, a cricket club, just to, just something to do, I guess. When you move to a new country, it's daunting, it's difficult. And, we moved July 2001, and then within 3 months you had 9/11, and things were difficult for a person of colour, especially in an area like Barnsley, where from what I remember at the time, we would have been one of a handful of families that would have been non-white. So cricket was this initial first thing, I guess, to have something to do, to bed into the society and make friends. And socialise. So that was the initial, but I didn't really even know myself what professional cricket was. I don't even think till after I'd signed my first contract and played, really. It was just, I love cricket and I wanted to, play it. And my parents went and tried to find a place for me to do that.
What was it like signing your first professional contract? Was it like, oh, I'm going to get paid to do something that I love? Did it feel like that?
Well, actually, I was, I've got a book coming out and we're just in the final stages of it. And this was the exact thing we were doing the other day, just going through some of the cricket parts. And, the question was very similar. How did it feel to sign the first professional contract and knowing you're now going to be paid to play?
Yeah.
You know what? The paid point didn't really sink in or really understand that for a long time. I don't think it was more that when you first sign your contract, you get your name and number on the back. You get the full kit. You get the full training kit. At the start of the season, when I was on the academy or stuff, you got some kit like the professionals did, but you didn't get it all, and you didn't get name and number on back. Just signing that contract and getting name and number, and then you're going to be part of the full professional team. Just a pinch me moment and something I'm incredibly proud of.
Does that number stay with you? Sorry, I'm slightly naive in that. Is that your then? I always remember David Beckham was number 7, wasn't he? In his days, and I'm like, I always remember that. Does it stay, or
it's up to you? I think you ask for number generally. Then if it's available, you can have it, and then people do keep that through their career. But
okay.
The number that stays more in cricket is if you then further down the line, if you become a cap player. Now, a cap player is like when you've played for us a long time and performed, and you become like a first team cap player, then your number is, you get given a number and that sticks with you and that goes on the board. And, I was fortunate enough to get that later on in 2016, in Yorkshire's over 150-year history. I think now it might be around between 180, 190 people that have got that. So, I got that. So that was a massive moment, and that's the number that stays. But yeah, I kept my shirt number the same as well. So I've kept it. It's actually part of my branding and stuff. I've kept the number 30 throughout as part of my identity.
Oh, I love that. Well, that's kind of a nice sort of step into kind of the personal brand and identity piece. At what point did you realise that what you were doing, playing cricket, was so much more than just playing cricket, from recognising perspective and just, I guess, responsibilities of being someone who's in the limelight?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I did.
Yeah.
And I don't think many sports people do. I think we have, we miss a lot of the, I guess, the growing up part of our life, because we are so intent on just, being successful at, getting runs, wickets. You wake up in the morning, your purpose is, to be a better cricketer or be a better footballer, whatever that is. And, the sacrifice that takes, you miss family life, you miss work life. I guess, a lot of sports people don't go to university and things. So you miss a lot of, I guess, the growing up part of your life. So
Yeah.
I don't think I ever did while I was playing, even the 30 bit. Now I look back and clearly, must have thought somewhere, or maybe Azeem Rafiq just wasn't available and thought, all right, have the shirt number. But, so it's not something I think I ever realized while I played cricket over the last couple of years. When I spoke out, again, I was just a broken human being speaking from my heart. And really from that and coming into the corporate world, now that part of my life, look, it's something I'm incredibly proud of, and it's something that will always be, with me. But now that I'm sort of, I'm a lot more than that. I'm more than someone who, spoke out on racism, a whistleblower. I'm a lot more than that. And it's only now, and now working with Tash and I guess being here as well, I'm more or less starting all over again. So, and you've got to build yourself and build your, I guess, identity. So I'm transitioning and also building, I guess, a new career and what that looks like. I reckon it's just now that I'm starting to learn about what that looks like and
value
what that
of
takes.
it.
Yeah, and you're following some of your stuff and just consistency of how you, I guess, put yourself out there, but also the colors and stuff like that. And it's very important to be consistent with that. So yeah, I think going back to your question, it's really, I guess I dived into this world over the last couple of years, but then really learning now as I grow out of the last facet of my life and into something, I guess, a lot more positive and beautiful.
You say the last, but there could be many more reinventions. This is your 3.0, we should call this one, the evolution of it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? You're always improving, and you're always. If you're not getting better, if you're not learning, if you're not looking to get better, you are standing still. And that, I guess, that's one crossover from sports is, if you stand still, people are going to run past you. So you're that constant drive to be improving and learning with the new trends and moving with the times is something that, I've learned from the sport times. And yeah, I guess it's something you've just got to be nimble on your feet and go with it a little bit and go into the unknown.
You'd mentioned actually in our pre-chat about sort of the connections between sport and business. And a lot of people don't equate them to be similar, but you in your sort of in the last few years have gone, no, actually there's quite a lot of similarities in the leadership and bringing over from sports and on the field pitch to into the office. What are some of the other things that you've shared maybe in a corporate environment?
Yeah, I think there's learning both ways. The racism and the culture and stuff I've talked about within sport, I think that sport can learn a lot from the corporate. I'm not saying every places are perfect, but
Yeah.
it's a lot further advanced in its journey to be better. And I think sports is sort of still living in the dark ages a little bit with its behaviors and environments and cultures. Sports can learn a lot from corporate environments in terms of culture and inclusivity, and how to create a safe space while still wanting to thrive and be the best in the world. And I think the other way, it's very much sort of, I guess, the businesses and where I've been very fortunate to have spent time in a lot of different corporate environments is can learn around teamwork. Teams take what sort of attitudes and what sort of sacrifices need to be made, because there's a few things around sport and around generally in life is like you have it all. You've got to treat everyone the same, and in a sporting environment, and you've got to treat everyone with respect as human beings in terms of skills and abilities. You've got different characters, you've got different human beings. We're all different and we're all so unique in our different ways, and it's trying to find the ways to get the best out of everyone. But then how does that fit into a team environment?
Yeah.
You have your values, you have your non-negotiables within a team culture. Yes, you might have a maverick and stuff. And how do you, I guess, incorporate a maverick within a team culture to get the best out of them, but yet still make sure that maverick doesn't have a negative effect on the rest of the team? You're going to have that outstanding, talented person in a corporate environment that might not be the most punctual, might not, be the most easy to get them to listen and buy in. But when they get to work, they work at a level that not many people can reach. And I guess, how do you incorporate that? But where is the line? Because ultimately, you're only as good as your team, and everyone plays a part within that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of crossovers within, I guess, cultures and team environments. But then just stuff like this, really, ultimately sports people have got to go into the real world at some point, right? And that real world is this world. So I think making them connections early, finding ways to develop while they're playing, but also from a business point of view, being able to provide that opportunity for them. So, I guess in a way you're giving back to people that have had to sacrifice their childhood, their learning phase of their life to excel, to represent a badge, to represent their countries, and using their skills now within here and trying to see how that can cross over. I think there's a lot of crossovers, and it's actually quite lovely because most people, in an office job, they love having that hour, 2 hours where they can just interact with sports people and get different perspectives and learn from. So yeah, it's something I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, I've spoken to quite a few I've had quite a few guests actually in ex-Paralympian, ex-Olympian, ice skater, and all of them have talked about the identity struggle, going from it's just the sport consumes them into the real world and how much that affects them mentally. How was that for you? And then I imagine with everything else that was going on at the time, added a lot more.
It's something that, I think, again, it gets talked to us. It does get spoken to us a few times, but it's never, the support is never, and the understanding and the development is never there while we're playing. It's just not sufficient enough. So when it happens, and it happens for different people at different times, it happens to some people that will have achieved everything they wanted to and will know exactly what they're going into. That will happen to some people where, for me, it happened, at a very young age, and it happened twice. I left Yorkshire in 2014. I was struggling mentally. I'd started taking antidepressants and I didn't know why. Obviously, later on, I've got to why I was struggling then. And I didn't know what to do. What do I do after that? I've signed my first contract at 17. The path was to England. I've England 19 captain at World Cup and everything. And then all of a sudden, I was really struggling mentally, and I was out of a contract, out of work, been self-sufficient all my life, had lots of family responsibilities myself. So to lose all that in a click of the finger, and then like, right, what do I do? There was a period of my life where I didn't want to get out of bed. And this is 2014, 15, pure financial point of view, where, putting petrol in the car was challenging, and, you feel ashamed, you feel useless, you feel like you're letting everyone down. So, a lot of them feelings, and I won't be the only person that's gone through that. And I wouldn't have been the first, and I definitely won't be the last. I went through all of that, and they're challenges, they're real challenges. But if there was a few words to describe me as a person, I've got a lot of resilience. And, I'm actually a very glass half full, so I'll get out and find a way. But, within that, there's been a lot of learnings for me around mental health, and it's a passion of mine now, and how our mind can stop us doing a lot, but at the same time, how our mind help us achieve something that most people won't think is achievable. So I guess for me, it was a real sort of learning phase. And at that time, I came to Dubai in 2014, 15, and I was coaching here cricket. To be honest, I wish I stayed. I wish I never went, left. But, cricket was all I knew. And then I had the opportunity to get back into professional cricket, which is what I did. But yeah, it was tough. But it did give me that 2014, 15 gave me, I guess, some reality of real life. So then, that stayed within me. So that when I went back, I was more than just a cricketer. I was a bit more rounded, I would say. I was more mature.
Yeah.
And then that second phase of my career, that 2016 to 2018, I was more aware of things. And this is where I started, I guess, raising the issues of, racism. And then in 2018, I lost my son. I spoke about racism internally, and then Yorkshire got rid of me. So second time around, it was even more brutal because it happened following the loss of my son. This time it floored me. It completely floored me. I left the country. I went to Pakistan. I said, I'm never coming back. I lost all faith in humanity. These were people I spent best part of a decade and a half growing up. My mum would cook food for them. They'd stayed at my house, and the way I got treated around the loss of my son really floored me. Even then, consciously or subconsciously, it was my mind. I knew where my head was at, and I was in no fit state to do anything. So I went off to Pakistan. I was there, tried to recover myself, help my wife recover. Slowly, early 2019, went back to the UK. And, to be honest, that first, and then my wife got pregnant again, and that second pregnancy, but was just that 12 months was just 9 months was just about getting to the end point safely. So, again, just trying to do whatever possible just to keep surviving, really. It was survival mode, but just building myself back. And then, we had a beautiful boy in July 2019. And then I wanted to go back and play cricket again because, that is all I've known. I didn't know what else I wanted to do. These were, I guess, 2 points where it hit me really hard. And then going into 2020, got myself really fit, and I was going to go and get back into it. And then COVID happened. And I think that was a massive moment for a lot of people. I think we were all locked up. It was time for self-reflection, I guess. Time to take a pause. In a way, not knowing what COVID was at the start, I was grateful for just, off the treadmill a little bit. Because I'd been, I guess from 2014 onwards, I've been, just fighting. Fighting to get my career back, got my career back. Then, we lost our son, and then lost my career again, fighting for survival, just recovering from that, which, I don't think you ever recover from really. So, all that reflection, and then Black Lives Matter happened. The second transition for me, food was a passion. COVID happened. I had a lot of friends that were working in the NHS. We decided to cook some food for them, cook some curries, and, deliver for them every weekend. And then, we thought, why don't we sell some and raise money for hospice and other key workers? So that grew and grew. And then, that turned into, I opened a tea business, an Asian tea business. And that's where I had my interview, where I got asked a question around, whether I'd ever suffered racism or prejudice. And I got emotional, and I guess I said a little bit, and then from there on, I think the last couple of years has been pretty in the public eye. So I've had transition twice, and now I'm into my, I guess, third transition, because when it got so big, I got threats, a lot of death threats. My family house got attacked quite a lot, and which feels surreal even talking about it even now. And even when I speak to people, I think like, they must think that I'm exaggerating this, but unless you've lived it, and I was living that, and I was having people watching my house, I made that decision to speak out. So anything it's not nice being attacked in the streets and stuff like that, and being abused on social media, but if it's to me, you know what, I'll take it. But when it was starting to happen to my parents and my family, and kids were getting to school age, and I thought I need to protect their psychological safety as well as physical safety.
Yeah.
In roundabout ways, I've ended up in Dubai. Dubai wasn't the choice. I've loved every second of this phase of my transition, and now just the love I've received from Dubai, the people here. Everyone's been so, I think it's a hugely different to the UK, so collaborative, wanted to sort of work together. And I think the energy of excellence, everyone's in the same boat. It's always evolving. And that, I think the energy of wanting to be excellent and that sort of vibe, it's more or less replaced my buzz of professional sport in a big way. It's been, I mean, for me, it's been a massive buzz. Like, I've been getting out there, meeting new people, sat in rooms, having discussions on a level that you never thought you would. And that's where it brings me back to, I'm a consultant at MDR Mayfair, which is all about athlete care, transitioning, brand, and helping them learn all this, what I'm learning now, while they're still playing, and also capitalizing on the fact that they have got a bigger identity, working out how we can collaborate the individuals with businesses. I feel incredibly fortunate to have had the platform to speak at your Google and GQ Heroes, these types of places. And it's happened, without any sort of, I guess, me going into it. But
actively.
Imagine planning behind it, a strategy behind it, and going into it. I think I would have capitalized threefolds of what I've done. So trying to get players to do that now, it's incredibly exciting. And, I'm very fortunate and lucky to be here.
Yeah. What advice would you have for someone that is in sporting or in the sporting world and not thinking about their personal brand or their next steps?
You're a lot more than just a cricketer, or, I always look at Marcus Rashford as an example. He could have been just another Man United striker, and there's been lots of them. And while they're playing, absolutely they're loved, and, the world revolves around them. But there's been a lot that have finished that we don't even know about. There's going to be a point where, what are you going to do next? What is your identity? Now, look, some people want a quiet life and they want to go away and thingy. But even then, you can use personal branding and stuff in a way that you can have a quieter life, but still excel, because you're going to have more than 30 odd years before retirement. He fought for a cause, he fought for children at a time, and he stood up against the most powerful people in the country. I will always remember him as someone who, in the pandemic, fought for children so they make sure they were fed. And he put himself in the background to do that. And he got so much abuse for a period of time where his football wasn't excelling. Every week you say, oh, just stick to football, this, that, the other. And now his football, in the last year and a half, this is where I think the biggest thing is, sports people have a voice way bigger than everyone else, and a platform. And he used that platform to help others, which is amazing. But his football was not excelling in the way Man United would want, or he would have wanted, while he was doing that, and he was getting, a lot. But now it's click where he's continued to do that, and his football is excelling beyond belief, right? So he is now, to put the two together, he has a brand where, I'm sure there are massive, massive corporates that will literally want anything to be associated with him. And, in so many ways. And, he's got these books that have come out, children's books and stuff. So from a point of view of when he finishes football, he'll have corporate speaking if he wants to do that.
Yeah.
He'll have brand partnerships, sustain for a long period of time. Again, another example. And I think this is another huge example for sports people, is having right support and advice around them. Because a lot of sports people, we're either badly advised or no advice.
Yeah.
It gets us in trouble in different places, just because it goes back to that, I guess, that initial bit, we sacrificed our growing up part. So, and you look at Roger Federer, and towards the back end of his career, he signed that deal with Kilo, and I don't know if I pronounced that right, where instead of having a yearly figure, which he could have had for the next 6, till he dies, he went and got equity. Kilo ended up becoming a listed company, one of the biggest financial transactions of his whole career, and that was right at the end where he made that smart move, well-advised move, getting sports people to understand actually that for you to sustain that life, you're going to have to be more than just your runs and wickets, because when that finishes, you will finish. Get professional advice, get paid advice. Another mistake sports people make is, people offer stuff for free and we take it. Actually, what happens with that is there's no accountability.
Yeah. I always say if you don't pay attention.
Well, look, I'm not saying everyone, when they do it for free, they don't pay, but ultimately there's no accountability.
Yeah.
Right? You can never
it's
go
a different
back.
value.
Different value, right? And also, when you pay for something, it's important to appreciate that, it's that person's years of work. Coming into this world now, appreciating value, and it's something that, I'm learning more and more of. And with that comes professionalism.
Yeah.
So you get the top advice. Don't cut the corners on that, because later down the line, you can end up unraveling, and it becomes really difficult to unravel, silly mistakes. And that's where, the MDR Mayfair stuff is around, financial advice, how you're setting your brand up. But then, really making sure you give that some thought while you're playing, because the one thing we do have is a lot of time, especially cricketers. We have a lot of spare time. What I found, even while I was playing, is when I did other stuff, I actually performed better. So it's a really great way to switch off, because it gives you a different purpose. You don't wake up in the morning, brush your teeth thinking about where you're going to bowl the ball, drive thinking about where you're going to bowl the ball. When you're bowling the ball, thinking about where you're going to bowl the ball, go home, and before you know it, it can become quite consuming. And I struggled with, because I'm an all or nothing person, I struggled with switching off. So it can be quite a nice way to switch off, to have, I guess, something else. And, the power of some of these platforms, LinkedIn, most of my corporate speaking have come directly from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
People have got in touch directly from LinkedIn. And I would encourage all professional sports people to have LinkedIn, because that's a platform where you're accessing corporates. It's an incredible platform where you can get contact details and you can be in touch directly to the top of an organization. It creates access, which, in the past you won't get, because people keep it blocked. So LinkedIn's a great platform. And, I think you were talking about this being a gap. Even for yourself, I think LinkedIn masterclasses and how to make best use of LinkedIn is something for sports people in a huge way.
The big question that I have around all of this, and we talked about branding and the journey and the evolution, was what was the defining moment, or what was it that made you go, I've had enough of this and I'm speaking out?
To be honest, again, like I said, it happened by accident.
When you had the interview?
When I had the interview. But when I lost my son, and the way I got treated around that, just before I left in 2018, I had a meeting with the director of cricket, the CEO, the PCA. There was encouragement for me to sign a confidentiality form and get a chunk of money which would have helped me through the next phase. But that would have stopped me ever being able to speak. And I refused that because deep down I knew I wanted to speak about this. I just did not expect for it to happen how it did, and to happen when it did. Because when I spoke, I was in no fit position. I was only just starting to build myself back. I was in no fit position financially, work-wise, mentally. Just literally, and I spoke out August 2020. So my wife was pregnant with a second child, and she was due in November. So I was in no fit position to speak. So the way it happened was quite accidental.
Yeah.
But the way I got treated around the loss of my son, and the inhumane nature of that was, for me, enough. People even like, I'm only 32, and like, why don't you play, or why don't you get that has left such a mark on me on a human level that I don't feel like I want, I've got to a point where I want to get involved in the broadcasting side, and down the line, I'm a level 4, down the line I want to do coaching and stuff. But that's put such a block on me from a human level, that I still love the game. I adore cricket. It's been my life. It's given me a lot of good times as well as bad. But the people around the game is something I'm still internally, not sure that I want to be around consistently. And that's how it happened, really, by accident. But it was something I was always going to speak about, because I think there comes a moment in your life where you realize that there's more to life than just yourself. I guess I found purpose in the fact that I'd seen all this, I'd experienced it. And, I wasn't someone that played for a year and didn't make it. I'm a cap player at Yorkshire, England 19 captain, and I've tried to stay away from talking about my cricket through the last 2 years, because it's been it's become such a fight in the end, which is again not what I wanted. But I achieved a lot in the game, and again, it's something I'm incredibly proud of. But I saw a lot that I felt was on a human level completely wrong, and it's destroying lives, and something had to be done. And I guess, I was the one stupid enough to put my head above the parapet.
What would you say to, because I think there's probably two questions on that. What would you say to someone who wants to speak out, who's scared? With the personal brand piece, being authentic to you is a huge part of that, but so many people are scared and they don't. What would you say to someone?
Yeah, again, it's a question I've had lots and lots of people have contacted me, feeling exactly what you've just said. And you know what? It's important that I be honest with them. I can't sell them down a path that it's going to be all rosy, because it isn't at the minute, right? I battle with a lot of things because of speaking out. And unfortunately, we're a long way away from organizations understanding how to deal with grievances. And you talk about what do I speak about when I go. A lot of the corporate stuff I do is around helping leaders, helping corporates understand that when that first point of grievance comes, it's so important. It's probably the most vital point. If you handle that as a human, with compassion, with care, and try and put yourself in the person struggling's shoes, not only will you be able to handle it well, and it not end up in a car crash, you'll also have a positive effect on them and the rest of your organization. So that's a lot of what I do now, to try and get that side to understand and learn from Yorkshire's mistakes. And to say we're a million miles away from that would be an understatement in different places, in sport, but in some places, some corporates, you absolutely, it's a lot further. But going back to that person, look, I would tell them very simply what it looks like. It destroys you from inside. It's not just what's happening outside. You become paranoid. You become you do become like really sensitive to a lot of things. There was times where I was driving thinking that there was someone sat next to me talking to me. I was walking down the street thinking I was going to get killed. A place I called home for 21 years, I've had to leave because my safety could not be guaranteed. I had 24/7 security for 2-3 months. So this is the reality. And it's important that I share that with them.
Yeah.
But what I would say to them is, if you do choose to go down that road, you'll have one more person than I had supporting you, and I'll support you 100% and be there for you. Because the one thing, as much as I'm doing the corporate work, and that's to try and get them to understand what it's like to be here, I have this ability to be able to sit right at the bottom of our society and spit with people there, and I can relate to stuff there, and I can sit in rooms with chairs and CEOs and speak unfiltered directly to them without because ultimately I'm trying to do the right thing as a human being and try and understand what these people go through in that phase, but just saying to them, look, I'll support you. And like I said, a lot of people have, and initially I struggle with this because I just try to support everyone. I'm not professional, and there's so many different facets of this. But then what I got to is I started, through the network I built up. If someone needed mental health support, I got the mental health support. If someone needed legal support, I tried to help arrange that for them. So I ended up, getting better in helping them more professionally and getting them the right professional support. And so I wasn't carrying everyone else's trauma with me as well. But it's something that's been challenging. But, the reality is everyone has all these campaigns. And, same again with mental health, campaign. It's okay to talk, but it's not. And for me, it's very important, authenticity. And people asked me very early on when I spoke out, what do you want at the end of this? And actually, although I spoke on the race issue, the things that are most passionate to me are mental health, mental health in South Asians, mental health in men. Because, I came and wanted to keep this very positive, but I nearly killed myself twice from 2013 onwards with the stuff I was struggling with. So I've seen that, I've been there. I've been there in a really, really dark places. So that was one. Second was around child loss, baby loss. When I spoke about that at DCMS, so many people contacted me who have gone through similar, and it's very isolating. It's a very lonely place and practically very difficult. And I guess the brutal aspect of it is around that time my workplace was even worse. People will have that, but it's practically supporting them and I guess creating a community of support. And third and finally was, cricket is my love. Trying to use my platform and trying to use my voice to create opportunities. Because look, as much as we'd love to, not going to get rid of racism out of our society. You're not going to completely get rid of it. You can make little changes and you're moving the dial forward. But what hopefully can do is create more opportunities for marginalised communities, for people of colour, and also in England with cricket, one of the biggest sufferers are white working class. So there's real issues. Cricket, there was a report recently, an ICEC report commissioned that, that was pretty damning that cricket's institutionally racist, sexist, misogynist, and class-based discrimination. So now for me, whether cricket does or not, I'm trying to use my platform and what I've learned and bring some of the corporates together and test some of them, test their words into action, and hopefully create this nice opportunity piece for cricketers initially in the UK, but then there's no reason why that can't be replicated around the world.
What's next for you? So you mentioned a book that's coming out.
We signed this book actually before this became huge in a way it has. So it's been a bit difficult. It was supposed to come out April this year, but
you had to go back and edit it.
Yeah, I mean, the stories just kept going. So we were trying to write the book while the story was live. Then August, we pushed it to August, and then this report came out, and it was too important not to miss. So now we're going to miss the Christmas market, but we're looking at early next year. Yeah. There's a few facets that I'm still sort of deciding how, because look, it's going to be an uncomfortable book.
Yeah.
And I'm a human at the end of the day, and there's a lot of times I sacrifice a lot of my own feelings for the bigger cause. I'm constantly being attacked. I've not put a lot of the documents in the public domain.
Yeah.
We've got board minutes, we've got, email chains where, which proves my point. There's a reason why at every investigation and at every point I've been vindicated. But there's a large portion of UK media and some self-appointed free speech riders that just don't want to believe me. And I'll be honest with you, I'm contemplating at this point putting some of them documents within the book, which will make it more punchy. I'm a human with a heart who's, constantly being attacked, and I just, so I'm just trying to get the balance of that. But ultimately, I hope the book is going to give a full picture, because there's been, and I think it's been done on purpose, there's been so much mud thrown that people have lost the actual reality of what took place. And so I hope but I think it'll show as well, hopefully, some solutions as to where we go from here, because that's the most important thing. So that's one thing, but I want to be a broadcaster. Again, very fortunate. I've been doing some with Dubai Eye 103.8 here. We've got the Cricket World Cup next month. And then, so hopefully cricket broadcasting as a sort of, fun element of my life.
Yeah.
The long term and the give back element, creating opportunities for people in cricket. and the passion is mental health and child loss. So yeah, I've got like quite diverse stuff that I'm doing, and I'm enjoying I'm enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. I'm learning along the way, and the business of sport again through the MDR Mayfair stuff. And I've only been doing that for 3 months. I've enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And I've got involved in commercial transactions I never thought I would. And I've really enjoyed that. So, media aspects, corporate speaking, corporate workshops and leadership pieces kick away at the larger piece of creating opportunities for people within cricket.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story, being open, being vulnerable, because I think it's hard to be open and share the things that we don't want everyone to know, but knowing that it has such an impact on everyone else. So I just want to say thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And also, I just want to people, when they go through dark times and then get to the other side, and they'll talk about, if I can, you can. And that's something I really struggle with people, if I can, you can. But I just want people to really, you can end up in difficult situations, in dark places, but the power of your mind, genuinely, be kind to yourself, go through that phase, listen to your mind. Because, there was a phase where I didn't want to get out of bed. But fundamentally, there are good people out there who will support you. And you just need to find them. And there is. And again, through all the bad that's happened, I feel incredibly fortunate. The support I've received has been above and beyond. I've had the most amazing professional support. I had PR support in the UK. I had a legal support pro bono from Mishcon Dereya. I had a barrister who supported me for 3 years pro bono. And then even this next phase of my life, I've had so many great people, support me. So there are people out there. If you need help, you just reach out. People will help you. So, and I know it's difficult to ask for help, but we're all human beings struggling in our own ways, fighting our own challenges. But, once you speak to each other, they can become a lot easier.
Thank you so much. I always like to end the show. I've got a couple of questions here. Pick anything out the deck. They're random cards, lighthearted. So pick a couple and let's see what you answer. Oh. Right. What do we have?
If I could whisper something in the ear of my younger self, I would say, this is a great question for me. The one thing I regret is there was a period of time where I let go of my values and my beliefs and my religion, and I did things to fit in. My dream was, I want to be the best in the world. I want to play for England. I was, I'll run for 20 miles. I won't go to events. I will sleep on time, eat properly to do that. And I was ready to run through a brick wall. And unfortunately, through a period of time, within that environment, I compromised my own values and my religion and my belief. And if there was one thing I could whisper to myself, is just stay strong in that. There's nothing bigger than your own. And I guess it comes back to this as well, authenticity, your own values, your own beliefs, and, be strong enough in that. You know what? People who want to be part of your journey, fine. People who don't, that's fine as well. Yeah. Everyone's got a right to decide their own. So that would be the one thing I would whisper to myself.
Good question.
Very good one for me. I lose all willpower when it comes to... So I've had all of this external abuse, external challenges, and, people have seen me as brave, courageous and stuff. And actually I find if people from the outside go at me, I find that very easy. Yeah. I'll stand up for myself all the way. I'm a lover, but if you fight me, I'll stand up and fight. Any relationship, whatever that is, I give it all. I get hurt if I don't get the same, I guess, people buy into a relationship that I give.
Amazing. How can people find you? What's your social media platforms? What are you most active on?
Instagram, Azeem Rafiq 30, Twitter, Azeem Rafiq 30, LinkedIn, LinkedIn I actively try and use as much as possible, Azeem Rafiq on there. So yeah, they're the ones, but Instagram I'm trying to be more active on.
Brilliant. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.